Before we start, I would like to ask your help to do two things. First, tell a friend or two who you think might like the show. And second, please rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. The more reviews the show gets, the more likely it will even appear in search results. Thank you, and now on to the show.
They make the trek out to Burning Man for a week and a day. After a lot of work, oh, there's a lot of play. Party, 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 drama, 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 bitch, bitch, bitch. Year after year, they come back to scratch that itch. They all say their lives have been changed. After many years, lives have been rearranged. That change is what this show is all about. You'll see the impact of Burning Man up and out. So sit back, relax, and cancel all your plans. These are the stories about the shadow of the man.
Hello, and welcome to the Shadow of the Man Show. I am your host, Andy, the Jedi Master. No, it's that Andy. Today, our guest is Christine Nash. Welcome.
Hello.
Yeah. So this was going to come out on May 4th. So I guess, May the 4th would be with you.
Very cool. Okay.
Yeah. Whatever. So, Christine, we were just talking before, I guess your first year was 96. That was my first year. I don't know, as I was describing it, I felt like Dante's Inferno. I was like, what kind of hellish place have I come to?
Well, I was kind of lucky because I already knew a lot of the artists who were at Burning Man. I had a ticket for 95 and I broke down on the way. So I got fucked having to turn around. But 96, I was already friends with Christian Risteau and some of the people who were putting on Helco. He had the subject, Big Claw. Brilliant artist. And so I already kind of knew some of the artists, so I had a little preview of what I was in store for that year. And I had friends who were performing at Pepe's Opera, and so it was new to me, but so many of my friends had already been going that I was just kind of like, oh yeah, I've heard about this. I'm excited to see it in action. Or had built it in LA. So I had seen parts of things. And then it's like, you're going to ship this out to the desert? Okay. And so I had a slightly different perspective that I saw incomplete dreams and visions of crazy stuff they were going to do. And then when I saw it and I knew the people doing it and they were still my friends and these same wonderful artists, but it's like, element doing what they wanted to do, and I didn't have a context of the environment that it was going to be in. So it was a really cool set of rose-colored glasses. Like, I was excited to go to Burning Man, but suddenly it's like, oh, you can really do this. What else can we do as soon as we get back to get ready either for next year or to do this on our own out in the desert? And a lot of these people were in one of the oldest villages at Burning Man is Giggsville.
Yeah.
Which we've been a part of since the inception. So for a lot of the people in Giggsville who went out, we tended to do a lot of desert trips on our own, at least 2 or 3 a year. So suddenly we were building effigies. And then instead of waiting for Burning Man, it's like, well, next year, let's do this at Flipside first, because all the Austin people wanted to, they would test out stuff at Flipside and then build it either in LA or there. So I've had this year-round vision of artists, and it's served me until now, where I co-own 2 art complexes in LA. One is a fine art, one is a fabrication complex. So we kind of year-round have parts of sculptures that then go out, and then they come back and they get completely mutated into something else. And then it's either used for like Art Basel or a bit different art event or a burner event. And these same pieces keep changing. The wonderful artist, Sarah Firefly, did the great Giganti, which has now had, I think, 3 burns and there's new things added. It's a giant sculpture. I wish this was on video. I could show you. It's out in our park. But every year there's something new to add to it. So, and then someone will walk by and say, "Oh, I have extra drums and cymbals. That should be in there." And she had already figured out how to make noise out of the sculpture. So, back from 96, I took like 2 different years off, and I took last year off. So I'll be back this year working with Media Mecca, which I've been doing for over a decade. So, and that's an easy department at Burning Man for me because, again, going back to 96 where I saw it and then I wanted to be a part of it. But because of the nature of my job and knowing a lot of the artists, it's really gratifying to be able to integrate what's happening out there with the journalists who go out and they're paid to do a story.
Mm-hmm.
But my favorite thing to do is either pre or during the event, sitting down with them, having a shot of whiskey and like, what are you stoked about? What do you want to write about? I know you're supposed to write about city planning and the trash removal in a city. That's maybe their story they have to do. And then someone will say, oh my God, I've always had a fascination with religion, with Burning Man. And suddenly that one year it was like, oh, do you want to talk to the whole crew who made Church Trap or the Temple Crew? And suddenly they're able to do a story about what they dig. And it's obviously much better because their passion's in it.
Oh, wow. So, I mean, I guess journalists like coming to Burning Man, I mean, are a lot of them kind of like one and done, or you find like some they kind of come like year after year? They're like, oh, I came last year, now when I come again and like explore it a little deeper, or like try a different angle. Or...
The department's a really interesting one. So a lot of the people who work and now volunteer in Media Mecca were former journalists who got paid or wanted to do a project and they went out to cover something and they were so enamored with it. This is the usual progression. So they'll come out for a reason. That reason might not be their passion. Then the next year they go out and they volunteer. They want to learn to weld, or they want to just volunteer on a big crew, or they volunteer for like temple guardianship, and then they have this emotional experience of art and faith and all of this. Then they're like, how can I tell more people about how life transforming this has been? So I'd say a huge, I'll have to ask my bosses, but I think a huge number of Media Mecca volunteers were current or former journalists, and they wanted to be in the heart of it. They wanted to see every day what the interesting story was. And then they write their own stories, and then they tell their other journalist friends, like, okay, as long as you're talking about, large scale art, here's a tiny piece that's hidden that's going to be out by the trash fence. And I want you to meet these people because they're fascinating. And it becomes this, I'm excited about it, and not the drink the Kool-Aid kind of way, but in a, I'm here for a reason, and I want people to understand why I keep going back. Because there are obviously going to be a huge, vast amount of people who go to Burning Man, and they're like, okay, that was cool. I'd rather now go take a trip around the world or do something else. And they experienced it, and it didn't touch them away. For some people who go out, it's going to be a very evolving. Rarely do I know anybody, and I've been going over 27 years to this event and working it. Every year I've worked actually, or volunteered. What I find is fascinating is a lot of people keep switching departments, and then they take a year off to just observe. And then they'll take a year off and they want a grant, and they're doing an honorarium thing, and it's their project. And maybe it didn't go so well for some. And then they want to be on a crew for a really well thought out theme camp, and they just want to bring it back to the city. So it's this ebb and flow of people getting inspired, but then going, not for me. That's okay. Most people who are in a creative art situation, I see, tend to have a very open view of inspiration. So there's a bunch of people here who are female artists, and they don't necessarily want to learn how to structural weld, but they want to create their art instead of, I have a hand-built ceramicist who's wonderful here. And suddenly it's like, I can see it in clay, but what if I made it in metal? And then she did that. And then it's like, and what if I then covered that metal in clay in a way that it was now a mixed piece of art. So you know what I mean? It's like you can get and that the event itself lends itself so well because you have vast groups of people with different technical knowledge and then the visionaries who have no idea how to make it, but they know how to inspire it to happen. And that I think is really exciting to have so many people who probably can't do a lot of this stuff on their own. They need a crew, and each of those crew will then inspire for something else.
Yeah. Well, also, I think I would imagine kind of an evolution for artists too, like because I mean I can't imagine someone going for decades and decades just like no, I build the same like wooden stick man every single year, and I will do the exact same thing every single year. I mean even like with the Barbie Death Camp, whatever. I mean it's
Oh
like
yeah.
it's definitely evolved. I remember when I was just like one or two guys. They're like, who are these freaks with all these Barbie dolls? Like now it's like a village or something. Like,
First time you saw Barbie Death Camp, the very first time, and you're like, what is happening here? It was,
yeah,
it's so simple, but you walk by and it's like, oh my gosh, that I never would have thought of that, but it's brilliant. And every year it would change a little bit, you
oh
know?
yeah.
Let's say there's also a lot of camps and a lot of just individual people who like to go out and their whole thing I've been going enough that I see all of the breadth of it. I have no problem with the people who go out and did you ever encounter the pizza cheesecake guys?
No.
Okay, so somewhere in like maybe 2000s, like, around 2000, 2001, there was a camp and I never knew who they were. And they would specifically go out and they had a black, like a pull cart. And it was all darkened. So you couldn't see it at night, no lights on it. And they would just have a front light with somebody, a couple people pulling it out. And they had a pizza griller and a little tiny, like an easy bake oven. And they made tiny little bite-sized pizza and cheesecake. And
Huh.
they would like sneak around to like little groups of people, usually in some kind of an emotional moment out by the trash fence. And they would literally go, psst, pizza, cheesecake. And they would whisper it. And you'd have to kind of like, who is that in a crowd or whatever. And you'd go around this bend, and inside this darkened trailer, they would hand you cold, chilled cheesecake bite and a little piece of pizza. And then they
Wow.
would disappear. And someone like that. And for years they did that. And their thing, one year it was grilled cheese, another year, they would just feed people little morsels and then disappear. And there's other groups like that used to be the roving lawn game camp. I forget, I even forget what year, maybe I don't
Hmm.
know, 2008, something like that. They would literally play through camps. Far, all right, everybody, excuse me, like in the middle of a dinner, and they would place the ball near something, chat for a moment, sample their food, and just play through. And that was their thing, was performance art, and it was absolutely brilliant. So,
Yeah.
so I think the event has evolved into so many different groups of like big camps, theme camps, then the art side of it, and then you had these little tiny things that out of 30,000 people in some years, 100 people would experience this little piece of performance art and they would talk about it. And it would inspire somebody else to go, oh, next year I'm totally going to take over. Giggsville for years would pick two or three random portos and completely decorate it. A
Hmm.
disco one. One was an ode to David Hasselhoff. So you're sitting there in the Porto, and there's disco lights and pictures of David Hasselhoff everywhere, and you never know it. But except for the line of people waiting to use that Porto, it was really funny. So I
Yeah.
encourage anybody listening, like it's the little. You don't have to do big, massive, giant things to get inspired at Burning Man. You can do
Yeah.
really fun little tiny things.
Yeah. I mean, but I think that's the stuff that gets like a lot of the attention and the oxygen and like in people's thinking. But I just was struck with like how many times I just like run across like it just would be like a father and a son duo, and they just have like this little table or push cart, and they're just like out in the middle of the playa, and they're like, oh, we're just making drinks for people or whatever. It's like it could just be something just kind of small.
Did you ever encounter the roving abyss pool table? That was another fabulous one. They had built a pallet that fit a full pool table, and it was wrecked, of course, because of that. And then they had a water cooler with a solar little fridge by it. So it actually circulated cold water, and they were constantly bringing ice out, but it would only come out in the middle of the night. And they had, obviously, I think it was someone on heat on DPW, they had a forklift. So they would move it every night, and there'd be a little tiny set of like solar lights to
Uh-huh.
way the hell out there. Like you had to just be trash fence walking and abyss looking at the stars. And there all of a sudden, but it was motion light. So as you went near it, the light would light up and you could play a fully racked game of pool in the middle
Wow.
of nowhere, have ice cold water to sip, fill your thing. And then you would, and it just said, the little sign said, please re rack when you leave. And everybody did. Every time I went by, it was ready to go. And I have still have no idea who did that one, but it was brilliant, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and pool tables are like 800 pounds or something,
So
like,
I think they had either a VR or something that they could just, just lift it up but every night it moved. I never found it in the same place twice.
huh,
Yeah,
huh.
it's a good one.
Yeah. Well, that's also another thing because, like, I
Like,
mean,
whoo, what could I do?
yeah. But now it's like things are so far apart and so big. Like, I rarely even have a bike. Like, my Burning Man, like, I'm always just like kind of like wandering around on foot. And so I like to just kind of like, have a fun adventure with like my brother or friend or whatever. But it's like you don't really get to see
Right.
much. I mean, it's nice if you're like an art car, you can like zoom around, and now I guess with everyone with all their like e-bikes.
Yeah, I'm hoping that, I mean, I think they've done a very good job. The DMV does their best to really educate the art cars that, yes, this is for your camp, but you really do need to. If somebody is especially way out there, let them jump on because even if somebody once in a week-long experience gets one or two perfect serendipitous art car hop-ons for a little bit, it's really great. Gigsville for years has had Lightbringer, which is a gorgeous art car, silver and shiny, but it only plays like heavy metal music just to be different. And the guy who runs it is fabulous, and he is always letting people on. So I think
Yeah.
yes, I've heard some stories about people getting denied getting on art cars, but all in all, I think they do a pretty good job saying, look, this isn't a day, it's a daily thing. You get to drive around and make people's whole week by, oh my God, I'm on a giant pineapple, running.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I always encourage the art car people to like make somebody's whole burn by a great.
Yeah. I mean, because I've gotten any art cars and all these rides and all these years. Like, I don't know, they're always kind of zooming by, and then like if you are out somewhere, I mean, I don't know, very rarely would it be like, oh, I'm just out in the middle of nowhere, and there's just
Yeah.
empty art car, and they're just kind of standing there. There's always people, but
I
I don't
love
know.
the idea of having like a terminal. So every night you start pick up, so you can wait for an art car and then they can pick up people. I think they've done that a couple of times, but I was gonna. That's one of the things I was gonna bring up this year on our group call is there is. I love the little taxis, the people who come out and then their whole burn is they have just a small art car and then they taxi people around, which is a really fun idea.
Uh,
But
well,
it's like it holds like three or four people. They're little art cars.
huh. Because what I remember thinking a couple of years ago, it's like, I don't know if you could like do this, but as part of like the mutant vehicle like registration, as part of like the requirements or whatever, it'd be like, okay, like once a day, you have like maybe have a couple different routes. It's like one's the green route, one's the red route, and it would go down like the circuitous like street and then out to like the temple and come back. So like each day you have to do one of these routes as part of your like permit.
That would probably be a good podcast. Is just to I don't know if you've done one yet to talk to the DMV, but they're
Talk to chef.
okay. Yeah, I don't know if they've discussed that, but it's something that it gets brought up quite a bit, at least like with the journalists and stuff. We always do a couple of art tours with the journalists as well. And I think it's a really special thing for new journalists who have never been to Burning Man. We'll get one of the bigger art cars like the Monaco, that gorgeous sailing.
Hmm.
So usually at least once or twice a year, we'll do an art tour, but we'll pick the pieces that they're going to be going around, and we will invite those artists on board. So now we have a sound system and we can interview the artist on their way. And then suddenly we show up and all of their memories of creating from inception to actually building it on the playa. Now we roll up on this beautiful sculpture, piece of art, and all the journalists are like, oh, I get it. I see the little, decoration at the top in honor of your mother who passed and who inspired this, like whatever it is. Suddenly the story has context and has emotion. And so that's a really important thing I stress every year, that letting the journalists meet the artists and ahead of time and then roll up on the piece to
Hmm.
interact. So yeah.
Yeah, but I thought like for the artists, like you kind of, I mean, you definitely want them to get acculturated, right? But you don't want to kind of handhold them, right? You kind of want them to kind of go out and learn it for
Oh
themselves
no,
too.
once we tag their cameras and make sure that they're legit, they're not doing a Girls Gone Wild segment. We always, I mean, ahead of time, I will say this. So Media Mecca is very good with, I get a list of maybe 20 projects every year, and we will call them 5 months before the playa, 3 months before, 2 months. Hey, is this your first time? And if it is their first time, it's like, here's a couple tips and tricks. Like this is going to make your life so much easier out there. If they've been out there a couple years, it's like, all right, hey, I happen to know you're super into motorcycles. Hey, let me hook you up with, there's going to be a piece out there where you can ride, and it's one of like, Hudson zoetropes maybe, or whatever the situation might be. And suddenly by getting to know them, we can help give them not like a velvet rope situation, but just an update on things to look for so they can plan for it.
Hmm.
There's always a couple of really great projects that way ahead of time they'll announce, usually in the Burning Man Journal, of like, okay, I remember the first time the dragon smelters were teaching people how to smelt metal. And ahead of time, we didn't really have a lot of, I think that was when tribe.net was out, and,
Oh
people
yeah.
remember those days.
Oh yeah.
They'd be like, okay, anyone who wants to learn about metal smelting, bring some of your old jewelry or bring some of, this kind of metal. So people ahead of time can be, they walk up with their little coffee can filled with little stuff, and they could melt it down and put their dog's ashes in it and make a whole paperweight or whatever it was. Suddenly it was an off playa planning to be super stoked about doing something on playa. So I always prefer the more year-round involvement whenever possible.
Oh
So
yeah. So
yeah.
how many journalists come to Burning Man like an average year?
Every year it changes. I mean, a lot of times there are a lot of projects that get pitched, and then we find that we can combine them into a couple, different things. Like if we get 400 submissions, there might be 200 actual sanctioned projects. And a lot of the more seasoned, especially photojournalists who are taking the photos, we know them. We know, are they with AP? Are they with Reuters? We know those guys, and they know not to what not to shoot and what to shoot, and the rules that you always ask. Luckily, for a lot of them, everyone now has a very good camera in their iPhone or in their Android. So suddenly it's okay if you see the most perfect photo that you weren't planning on using, but you snapped it and it was the moment. But oh my gosh, there happens to be a woman who's slightly topless in there and we don't know her and you didn't get a release. How do you navigate that? And
Yeah.
suddenly and make sure to either find that person or if it's the right thing, yes, you're gonna have to blur it. Sorry, you're gonna have to crop it out. And most of the time they understand. But the beautiful thing about having a camera with you all the time, when I first started, it wasn't no one. All my old photos are in film camera because We didn't have phones back then. But nowadays, you can get a model release. If you take this gorgeous photo you weren't even planning on, and you walk up to that person, oh my gosh, if you're a school teacher, I certainly don't want this out there, but it's a beautiful photo. Can I even send this to you? And a lot of our journalists are very versed in offer that photo to the person because they're going to probably want it. And then say, by the way, my name is so and so. I work for a small paper, and would you be comfortable if I publish it? If not, no big deal. Oh, sure, I have no problem with that. Can I film you giving me your release, your name, and your phone number and your email so I can make sure to send it to you? That in itself, suddenly there's no question. The person was stoked. They get the photo. And now it's not this, I can't believe you took this photo and this woman, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Well, it's kind
So,
of like a video release kind of thing, right?
yeah, so we do the best we can to not only protect the participants, because there are definitely a lot of people who are like, no, you can't take my photo. Oh my God, delete that off your camera right now. And that's totally fine. There's also people who are that convert who would just it's their they have would love a professional photo of them taken at Burning Man.
So,
So I think that's an important part of it.
yeah. So, in terms of, I don't know, it's probably not a solid number, but
Yeah.
like when taking a photo of something, like what's the distance, like how far away or like how clear does someone have to be before you're kind of like, well, I should get their permission? Because if someone's like really far away, it's like, I can.
Identifiable. I mean,
Uh-huh.
people know you're going to Burning Man. There's people everywhere with cameras. But not everybody publishes things. But now we have the internet. We have Instagram influencers who don't usually care at all what's in their background. So we do our best to, that's a new thing of
Yeah. How do
people.
you deal with that?
It's difficult. I have wonderful people that I work with who are journalists, who are also 20 plus year veterans in our department. And it's I just take it on a case by case basis. If you roll up to somebody and they're obviously a beautiful influencer and they have the feathers and the outfit and I rolled up on someone last 2 years ago with smoke bombs. And I was like, okay, so you can't just set off smoke bombs because now you're really annoying the people who are sitting on the ground over there having a little champagne breakfast. You just ruined their, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, and that's the learning. You have to be very well aware of everyone around you.
Well,
So
maybe that's their play character. It's like, I'm smoky. Okay. Everywhere I go, it's just like, I have my smoke bombs.
it was something. And I mean, they were actually cool about it. And so I said, okay, so you see all of this trash that you just moved. I'll just wait because I want to make sure all of this is cleaned up, and you do your best to explain it to them, but there will always be a few people who are like, oh, someone else can deal with that. And so here's my Burning Man thing I break down to so many people because this comes up all the time. If you have a family of 10 people in an immediate family, right? You will oftentimes see one that's at least a creative, one that's the total conservative, one that's kind of the jerk or has problems.
Hmm.
Okay, add a zero. For every 100 people, there's some. For every 1,000 people, there's going to be even more that just don't get it. Now we're at 80,000 people. There's a lot of them that really won't get it. And it's up to everybody as a community to do our best to try to steer them into maybe learning something new from out there, giving them some kindness, or calling it when they're being a jerk, making sure they realize this isn't going to be tolerated. And I have threatened to kick people out of the event for doing things that were dangerous, scary, totally uncalled for. If you're near the guys, the Dr. Bronner's guys, there are no cameras. People are in there to have fun at Dr. Bronner's, not to get photographed naked. That is not okay. And those guys are amazing at, you know, following their own rules and making sure everyone in there feels like they're safe. And there is, my nickname is Mama Crunchy. I try to, be as kind as I can, but there are some times where I will absolutely mama bear and stand up for any of the citizens who are encountering something that makes them like, ugh. I don't want to be here if that's how it is, you
So
know.
are these troublesome characters? I mean, would you describe them like as more like newbies, or like just first timers, or do you even see like some veteran people be like, "Ah, I've been here for years and I'm still a jerk"?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. They're because it's a creative situation. I mean, if you're going to go to any other event, every event has a kind of feel and a character to it.
Hmm.
Burning Man is a lot of highly creative people who, especially those who choose to keep going. 9 times out of 10, they're going for their friends and for the people. The art is really important, the community is really important, but they want to go, and there are things you can do there that you really can't do anywhere else. The regionals are brilliant. I love that there are so many regionals around, but even at Loveburn, you're going to get the weirdo dudes who women are like, oh, don't go near that little installation. They're all creepy dudes. It's going to happen anywhere you go. That was my whole economy of size problem with people.
Yeah.
But I will say we've had people, especially like Giggsville is known for snarky old timers. Most of us has been going over 20 years because the Giggsville is 25 years old at least.
Really?
So, and it used to be like 400 people. Now it's maybe 200. So it's not as big, but you walk in, we have a car on fire in the middle of our village. It's
At the
the car.
barbecue?
Things blow up in there a lot, and it's always a lot of deep. So we figured it out one year, like 80% of Giggsville works the event, sometimes for 2 3 months at a time. So we all get cranky, we all are working long days, but we love it. But Wheel Gunner, has the famous flame throwing car, he's always coming through, and the party always ends at Giggsville. Well, there are whole departments that know Giggsville and think we're kind of funny, and I'll never forget. So I'm on radio 24/7 when I'm there, and I like to know what's going on and be available. Well, one year on the radio, someone on ESD, the emergency services thing, said, "Oh my gosh, we've just heard that there's a car on fire near 3 and G." And of course, knowing I'm standing there at the lighting of the barbecue at 3 and G,
Like,
and because the lighting of the barbecue is
really?
at night. So all of these radios start going, head out to 3 and G, a car on fire. We may have an ESD emergency. Not knowing that the people who called that in are some of the classic old timers for ESD, and they were waiting for the newbies to show up and freak out about there's a car on fire and this explosion. And so the newbies are like freaking out, freaking out. We light the barbecue. I think that year it was an Angry Birds thing where someone did a slingshot of a stuffed animal on fire and it lit the barbecue. And all the ESD guys just erupt in laughter, like, "Ah, cancel that, it's Giggsville." Ha, 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 ha. And all the newbies were just freaking out. And I'm like, in another whole department, they were pranking their newbies. So this
Wow.
happens a lot. So I'd say, as far as like the jerk factor, yes, there's some. And then you add, like, oh my gosh, they've been drinking all day, and then somebody gets dosed, and now they're wandering around defacing art. It In a city of 80,000 people, it's shockingly calm and also accountable. Like, I saw a girl, I was because I have a driving pass. So anytime I see somebody dehydrated, I always have supplies. I'll take them. Almost anybody on staff who has a driving pass instinctively will take care of the people if they see a problem. And I saw a girl, and she was sobbing and crying. I think she had been dosed. We called for immediate medical help and emotional help, and there are services for that out there. And the accountability of 5 different camps who didn't even talk to each other descended on this woman, got her a blanket, covered her, got her warm. Like, immediately there was care. There was, all right, what did he look like? Let's see if we can get him. So if a ranger comes, they can question this guy. Like, and this all happened very organically. And that's why people poo poo, like, oh, it's all these bros there now. And it's not. As somebody who has truly seen it for a long time, I think Black Rock citizens do a fantastic job overall of looking out for each other.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I think it's like the overall like zeitgeist of like pretty big. Like, and like you're saying, like if you have a group, like you go camping with 10 people or 100 or 1,000 or 80,000, you know, it's like if something like if the sociopaths in like in society is like, you know, 1% or half of 1% or whatever, it's like if you're with 10 people, it's like, well, there's probably not going to be any. If we're with 100 people, maybe one. You know, look at 1,000, it's just like, oh, now you've got 10 of them.
Yeah. And it happens. And there's a lot of people who, I mean, especially with the influencer crowd. So 3 years ago, I was driving home. I had been working all day. It was like, I think it was Friday night. So I had a shift at Media Mecca, and then it was Big Burns that night. There was like three big projects that were all going up. So it was late. It was maybe like 2 a.m. And I'm driving back to Giggsville on one of the big hub roads that was just rutted out. And there's two beautiful, beautiful models who were on segways, and
Uh,
they charged right. So if you know understand the city, I was at 3 o'clock and I think F or something, and they were at 9 o'clock and H. Like they were as far almost as far away as you could possibly get. And they were cold in these little outfits. They had probably done a photo shoot that day. And all I wanted to do was to go home. I wanted a little shot of whiskey, sit around the barbecue, and go to sleep. And to make a long story short, they were very nice. They were from like Romania or something, didn't speak a lot of English. And everyone was laughing at them because everyone was like, you don't even know how to fix your thing, call your boyfriend. And they were kind of getting hazed. And I felt bad because you know what? No one
mm,
deserves that. They didn't know. I'm like, so next time you have to check to make sure you can take care of yourself and that your Segway is charged. Well, he was supposed to do it. And it's like, no, 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 you're not hearing me. It's your responsibility to be self-sufficient. So of course, I was like, well, can you lift your segways into my truck? They couldn't. So I asked some passersby, and it took a little bit to get people to take some pity on these girls. Then we got them in the truck. We're driving, and the whole time I'm talking to the to the girls in the car, and they were just so shell shocked, but they were pretty sober. And it's like, I gave them my spiel and they were like, oh my God, how long have you been doing this? Blah, blah, blah. So we get there and they were genuinely grateful for it. And I quizzed him at the end. I'm like, so what are you never going to do again? Ever. I will never leave camp without having my water. And they didn't have water without my stuff. Will you all, are you going to check your Segway or are you going to leave it up to some dude who's been drinking, shots all day? I will do it. Okay. Do you know how to charge your Segway? Yes. Okay. All right. You're going to be all right. And I drove away like these people. But then I'm like, you know what? She probably had a really good night. And now maybe, and she even said
or
that
you turned it from being a horrible night, you know.
yeah. Yeah. And well, not even that. I'm sure she had a good day, but like she was really getting hazed, especially that tall girl. And the cool thing is she hinted after, and it took like 10 minutes of driving. And I'm like, what do you really like? And she goes, well, I crochet. And I said, oh my gosh, you should totally go down to the Black Rock roller disco. There's a girl there who I had met years earlier who did these beautiful macrame things. And she was like, really? I go, I don't know. This is years ago. I don't know if she's still there. But it gives you a reason to go, maybe roller skate around, meet that other camp, and get out of your plug and play camp. And so I had like a nugget, a little tiny bit of something that she might. And I said, so next year, if you come, maybe throughout the year, crochet a bunch of little of your favorite thing and hand them out to people that you made that and they'll love it. And she was like, oh, I never thought of that. And so these are the opportunities that I encourage to everybody who's starting to feel a little apathetic about if they want to go or not,
Well, also the thing that people have to have a little patience and remember
Yeah.
is that we all were there. right? I mean, there was a certain point in time, like
All the
every single one of us was going for the first time, and it's like I might not have like an Instagram account with like thousands of followers, but like I mean, in '96, I went with my brother, like we just had a photocopied survival guide. Like we read the directions how to get there. Like
Oh,
like we
and
didn't even
rave
have a compass when we were like,
and rave camp was not the sound camps weren't at Burning Man. You had to go that way
yeah.
and a half and to the right, and you would see the pylons of the speakers.
Yeah,
I
and there were just cars zooming around all over the place. Like, oh,
do
yeah.
it.
But I mean, we made so many rookie mistakes where it's like, I remember like we were like, oh, let's go to the rave camp, and it had just like one of those like dinky little like like 12-ounce bottles of water, and I was like, I've got water, and then I was like, well, I really have to go to the bathroom. They're like, there'll be porta potties at the rave camp. Like, you sure? Yeah. Like,
Yeah,
no, no, they were. So I had a mini hour odyssey. I'm like, I really have to go to the bathroom, but I really need some
no.
water. And then even like leaving, like I mean, because I'm used to camping,
Uh-huh.
and it's like, and we brought a bunch of wood, and so it's like, what do you do when you go camping in the woods? Like, you dig a hole, you make a camp, right? You like a fire, and then when you leave, what do? You kick the dirt on top of it as a responsible camper. Like,
All
like
the things
now,
back then. Yeah, the whole deep.
uh,
Well, wait. Have you done any big theme camps or big?
so in '97 it was like our first year we did it was called the Cult of Distraction.
I love it.
Yeah, our friend, like, no, because we're trying to come up with names, and then my friend was like, you guys are the Cult of Distraction. We're like, oh, perfect, and so it's like a COD with like fins off of it, so it's almost kind of like the Jesus fish, and people are like, Jesus, we're like, yeah, no.
Oh, that's so great. I
Mm.
love it.
Yeah. So sometimes I go around and tell people just like, oh yeah, I'm a failed cult leader.
Cool.
They're like, what happened? It's like, well, it's a cult of distraction. It's like, what happened? It's just like, yeah, everybody went and did their own thing.
Love that. It's so
So I think last year for that was 2006. I mean, I also, when I moved to Hawaii in 2002, I became I started the regional here, and then
oh cool.
we
Yeah,
did
I've
a,
heard it's great.
well, it used to be.
Good things about the Hawaii Nationals.
There's not much really happening anymore. But Hawaii is just like it's a really hard place.
Get it.
It's
I
very
get it. Well,
expensive.
Dave X, who does the flame effects, he's the main guy who makes sure all of the sculptures are safe that breathe fire, amongst many other things he does. But
Oh yeah,
Dave X did years ago a flame effects workshop in Hawaii.
I
Um,
actually was the one who organized that.
I was there with Slinky from Flaming Lotus Girls.
Oh really?
We're there.
Well, it's funny because like I
Oh my gosh.
organized it, but I didn't actually get to take the class.
Oh my gosh. Both Slinky and I were there. It was a blast.
Oh
And
wow.
I've worked with so many large scale sculptures that breathe fire, and I had never ever done one myself. So we did this giant tiki thing out of junk, and it was great. But thank you so much for that. That was a
Yeah. Yeah,
what
because like the ammo can, because I remember Dave X was like, "Oh, we need like a metal box," and it's like, "Well, I have this ammo can," and it's like, "Oh, perfect."
I love it. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Can you do another one, please? That was really, really great. So enjoyed that.
Well, it's
It was
funny because Clem or
yeah, there. He came out for that.
yeah. So he's now I think our one last on island regional contact.
Cool. Okay.
uh, I mean, I guess there's Trey in Maui, but I guess he's still the regional contact for Maui, but I think he lives in the mainland now.
Okay.
Um,
Dude, I highly recommend what you did with that was amazing. That was really a
I
special.
should, yeah. I should talk to
I
Clem.
I see the gears going on your brain. I think
Yeah.
it's great.
Yeah.
And that's
Well, it's been years. I mean, I kind of resigned from doing that like in 2012 or something, but
to get reinvigorated. Are you going to come to the playa this year?
well, this year my son actually just graduated from high school, so
Congratulations.
yeah, so we're gonna be dropping him off at school. And I'm sure my listeners probably know the story. Like
Hmm.
I went to my wife and I was like, so after we drop him off at school and we're flying back, like, mind if I just kind of like, split off and go to Burning Man, and she was just like, not if you want to have a home to go back to, like,
Ah, got it. Okay. Has she ever gone?
no, 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 it's not her
Okay.
thing. It's, she doesn't like noise.
Okay.
Like we live out in the country. If there's a dog barking 2 miles away, she's like, God damn.
I see.
you know, and also if it's hot, there has to be like water, and she gets kind of claustrophobic in like large crowds of people
Yeah,
and stuff. So, I
I have
mean,
wonderful friends who are like, I love the idea of it, but I'd hate it. And they know not to go. I am going to go out to Fourth of July, which I haven't gone out in probably 15 years.
I've always wanted to do that.
It's
Yeah,
really, I love the, honestly, I love the weather because it's so much more mild and the
really.
are gorgeous. And I think it's going to be a good moon phase time around the 4th of
Huh.
July. So I haven't in at least a decade. And my housemate, who used to work DPW years ago, had a serious accident out there, and she hasn't been back. And she doesn't like the big event. She's also not great in crowds. And she's like, I think I'm ready to go back out. And we have two Salukis who are desert dogs, they're racing dogs.
Huh.
And we go out to dry lake beds all over because we're blessed to have Cuddyback Lake Bed, and near Fort Irwin, there's a great one out there. So we tend to do dry lake bed camping. Giggsville has done a May trip for years. And now I think we're going to go out, take the dogs. I have a little camp. We're just going to go out and have fun. And they're not good with fireworks. So we've told everybody once we get out there, we'll set a GPS coordinate so people can find us. And then we're probably just going to be away, like no fireworks, no guns, none of that, no big bangs. But if anyone wants to camp out there, we will. So
Mm.
it's been a long time.
Yeah. So anyway, when I was talking about our camp, the cult of distraction. So
I
we've
love it.
been yes, well, we've been talking about like for years, because I took 13 years off of Burning Man. My brother took like 14 years off, and we've been like all these years plotting our return, plotting our So we've had this dream for many, many, many years to get this like donut machine,
Okay.
and we finally just got it, right?
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I love this.
Yeah, so we're actually going to be going to Unscrews, like
Unscrews.
the Santa Cruz regional. So
Heard of that one. Cool.
yeah,
I knew they had one. Unscrews.
yeah. So this is coming out May 4th. So this will be coming out right after Unscrews ends. I think it's like the 28th to the 2nd or 3rd
Okay.
or something like that. Like yeah. So
Now,
yeah, it's going to be our dry run with like giving out donuts.
okay. All right. Now, so of course I have to ask, what's your plan for is it going to be on a cart? Is it going to be mobile? Is it,
That's kind of hard with all the boiling oil.
I don't know. I hear you, but like, okay. So you'll have your own little, like a little stand.
Well, basically, it's going to be at our camp, and I think we're still trying to figure out like the logistics and just like of how many, because it's like there's 6 lanes, and we make like these mini donuts, and we get this like 50-pound bag of mix. And my brother actually this week is doing all the experiments to see like he's like how many donuts can we make and how much does it
Yeah.
cost, like so. I think our idea would be to like once in the morning, like 1 hour every morning,
Okay.
because I mean, we also had some friends years ago that did this giant ketchup bottle, and so they were giving out fries, and it wasn't quite 24/7, but
Um,
fairly close. And I remember they telling me about they're like it was a lot of work. I mean, they had this assembly line, like a
yeah.
truck full of like potatoes, and someone with the machine like slicing them into like, and then someone frying them, and then somebody like putting them in a bag, and like it
That's a
was
lot
hot.
too. It's a lot of stuff to deal with and take back with you too.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh, you people would freak out. Well, the French Quarter out has like beignet day and they're doing beignets. I think one of the most effective, because you can get really tired if you're gonna be of service to your community members and do something like that. You don't want to burn yourself out. And I think the best use of that as a safety is there was years ago next to Giggsville a camp that did surprise grilled cheese. And they had this foam rubber giant grilled cheese sandwich, and they put an air horn in the mouth of it. So they had big googly eyes. So it looked like a talking sandwich.
Hmm.
And basically, randomly, and I mean randomly, the air horn would go off. And there was a big digital timer of like 10 minutes. And so for 10 minutes, the griddle was hot and you could run up and get a grilled cheese sandwich, but only during that 10 minutes. And they do it whenever they felt like it. So only once was it annoying in the middle of the night. And it was like 20 minutes at 2 a.m. And people would just start rushing because they knew that sound was go get your grilled cheese. So there is a way that you can make it fun and short time.
Yeah. I mean, it's not going to be the only thing that we're going to do it or can't be, but yeah, we figured it would just, I mean, it depends upon the logistics of it all. Cause,
Donuts. They will want donuts.
oh, yeah. I mean, it was funny because we were like, we were trying to figure out like how many we can give out. And we're like, well, okay, it'll probably be like 600 bags of like 4 mini donuts, like each, maybe that's within 1 hour. It's like, yeah, what about like all the other people who show up and like, it might be a little bit of a riot. And so it's like, okay, our business is like, we're going to start a riot once a day, every day.
Donut run. Oh my, I love this.
Yeah. So then we were like, okay, it's like as we're like cooking the donuts and everyone can smell it, it's like
Oh my
go
gosh.
over the BMIR and give them some donuts and just be like, hey, can you put out an announcement? Donuts.
That's so brilliant. That's the thing. Like, I love the randomness of timing, but if you had like BMIR involved, because a lot of art cars also tune into BMIR, and
Hmm.
or camps do. So suddenly, all throughout the city, it's like donuts.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
we might have to have the flexibility to be like, it was like, okay, it's 1 hour every morning, but like,
Yeah.
if like 3,000 people line up, I'd be like, might need to extend it another hour or something.
Well, you know what you could do? There's a bunch of camps that do like in French Quarter. There's the crepe thing. There's a couple of I think the tuna guys aren't doing their thing this year, but there's a couple of camps that do that, and they're all online. And you can be like, all right, realistically, how many people did you have coming up? Because if they're like, oh, geez, if you're doing donuts, 200 people will show up there's got to be a way to mitigate like first come first serve,
Well, that's basically gonna be right. It's like tough shit. Like after when it's done, it's done. You know.
like bacon and donuts, things that smell really good.
Yeah.
People coming, so
Oh yeah. Now, where it's funny because we're looking at this like mascot costume of this like pink sparkly donut, and we're like, we need to find our like most surly and hungover like person in our camp like every morning, and we'll give them a bullhorn in this outfit. It was like,
I have an idea that might help, and I have no idea. This is just spitballing, but so center camp has evolved a lot.
that's what we're thinking of being actually. Yeah.
And I've been it just hit me that I'm happy to kind of I don't know who's doing the camp this year, but center camp could do a lot of people have asked about like where's a good how can I do a pop-up even if it's one a day. So if they had a section where they used to sell the coffee and all of that and just said had a schedule. So in one day, yes, you got to commit to a 5 hour block of time, but you're making donuts. And the next day, someone will do their cheesecake. Someone will do that might be an interesting. I have no idea if they would even be interested or if there's insurance or liability stuff. But if you have your little license, because if you're feeding people, there is a procedure for that. But to do a pop up once a day there. So let's say from 11 o'clock, like the noon into 3 there was a pop-up of someone who hand makes food and wants to give it out, that might be a kind of cool thing.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's structured there. They have lines, there's places for people to eat. You can
Yeah.
deal with crash mitigation and stuff like that. But I might follow up with you on that. I'm happy to see if there's any interest in that
Sure. Well,
opportunity for a lot of people to do something like that.
yeah. Well, two things. Like, well, our first of all, like our idea. I mean, this is not going to be this year, but maybe like next year, like 27 anyway. But we're actually thinking we'd like to actually camp like in center camp. So like to be like
Yeah.
And then the other thing is that I've kind of been working with the Center Camp Pavilion people with the last couple of years because I started when I first went back in 24. Oh yeah, I made this. Well, because I'm a alumni like regional contact, right? And I was coming back and I was like, I want to get together with some of my other alumni, like, well, where do you do that? It's like, well, let's have an alumni reunion, right? So I made this like little logo,
Oh, I love that.
so I made these like t-shirts, these graduated and I was like, come on. And then so then I mean a few of us got together. So that's why I kind of did that in Center Camp Pavilion. And then uh I don't know. It's funny because like this graduated T-shirt, like more and more people were just like, "Where did you get that?" like,
Oh yeah.
I need
Well,
that.
I'm a huge fan of the homemade merch and art. Like I usually get gifted. I started to do a Christmas tree where all the ornaments were pendants people had given me over the years.
Hmm.
And there's such beautiful art that people are just making and handing out and
Oh
giving out.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And the funny thing is, so I ran Mutator for the entire run. We started it, and there's one year we did these little tiny Mutator pendants, and it was the six-fingered hand with the Burning Man symbol in the middle, and they were very rustic. They look like old pewter. They're really hard to find. They're very rare. And every year that I've been going, so over 27 years, someone will come up to me with that pendant and be like, "Oh my God, this band changed my life." And it's so funny because they have it. And then I still have a stash of like five or six of them. So every year I keep one in my, like, next to my radio
Hmm.
without fail. Every year there's somebody who lost theirs, or they lost it in a divorce and their husband took it, or whatever, or their wife, and I can gift it to someone. And I'm so tempted to do another run of them and just not say that they're new, but like it would be really fun to just be like, here's an alumni, of this. And I have so many friends who do. There's a wonderful journalist who does these little hologram pendants every year. She's done them for years. And every year she does a different one. The year that Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, she did the Burning Man with the Supreme Court cloak on it, and you hold it up to the light and it flashes an image onto the ground, and every year she just gives them away, and she's so lovely. So,
Wow, that's
and
incredible.
Alien Sex Camp, their Fimo ones for years. They would do a Fimo tube. I have a bunch of years of those. Like, it's really fun to just see all of the creativity with that. And it's not to make money.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that like we're saying is before
We also,
art doesn't have to be a large scale thing where you're making some giant robot or something. I mean,
I have one of our wonderful build guys who's just a genius, Dennis at Media Mecca. Every year he would pick, like, I don't know, 50 people, that however the number was, but his gifts were always very practical. And he would observe for like a week and then be like, you've asked me for that pocket knife 3 times. Here's a multi-tool. And he would gift very specific, very needed gifts to people, which I always appreciate.
that just reminds me. I don't know. It's probably going down in the annals of like fun stoner ideas, but like horrible in practice, and we're like kind of hanging out like the remainder of the year. Like, what are we going to build for next year for Burning Man? And I remember thinking the whole like gift idea, like, yeah, we're going to gift people stuff. Like, yeah, yeah. But like, how can we do it more efficiently? We're like, I know, gift rockets. So it'll be like a model rocket, and then it goes up, and then at the apogee, it blows apart, and then out of it will come. It's like, well, what do people need? It's like it could
Oh,
be like little joints, like or like pocket knives raining from the sky,
ah, yeah.
tampons, like whatever. And we're like after a while, we're like, well, not only would some of those things be dangerous, it's just like essentially what you're talking is a moop rocket, right?
It's true. I think one of my favorite things like that is how many random esoteric items we have to find each year. And I got a weird reputation where if someone couldn't find something, they would ask me. They would radio to Media Mecca. Is Crunchy there? Yeah, we need. And the weirdest one year was somebody on Heat, who's a wonderful friend of mine, wore disposable contacts, and he forgot the box, like of his extra contacts, and he lost one of them. And it was like a negative 3.25, whatever it was, contact, disposable contact. And I kid you not, it took me like 3 days, but I found somebody at a camp that wore disposable contacts and they had the same prescription. And I was able to get a single contact for him. So like it's those things like what are the things that you always forget about? And I did so long ago a Burning Man packing list that Plaid from many different groups and from Giggsville took it, and she completely made it into like a searchable database and all of this, and it got went up on Reddit, and it was so old, like the resources page for LA, not a single store or resources still in operation. So I was like, okay, I'm going to send out a Word document, change it, make it new, update it, and then I just kind of let it go. And to this day, a woman came up to me like 8 years ago and said, "Your list saved my life. I bought absolutely everything on it." And I was like, "Oh my God, please tell me you didn't. This is not the whole purpose of it." She said it was $8,240 worth of stuff. And it's like, oh my God, this is not the whole purpose of that. But good to know that that's about what I take to Burning Man with me. It was really funny. Like, who would have expected that? But I highly recommend. There's some wonderful packing lists out there of all the things that you might not think to bring, but man, are they awesome. Well, and okay, so last couple of years has been raining. I've been going a long time. I've never had 3 solid days of rain where I had to sit in my, my little trailer I brought. And a lot of my neighbors, because they couldn't refill the Johnny on the spot guys, couldn't take the portos down. They were all overflowing. It was horrible. And I always have a little Luggabaloo with me. So guess what? Suddenly I became the hot person in Giggsville because I actually had a clean, simple thing. Okay, and I'm like, you got to bag it, triple bag it, and you got to take it home. But suddenly it was a lot more easy to deal with. So, like I tell everybody,
Ah,
don't rely on anybody or anything, and you'll be fine. So,
yeah. Well, like we said before, it's like we all kind of start there in the beginning, and then like over time, like if it's something that you're going to keep coming back and doing, it's like you learn. So anyway, so getting back to so are you always from LA? Like, or is that where you're born, or where's your?
and I love Chicago dearly, but I was never into the weather gets so bad. So I went to school at ASU, which was ridiculously hot, and I didn't like that, but I like dry heat. But that's where I'd always wanted to be in the music industry. So I did a million things and ended up getting a job for CBS Records that brought me to LA. And that was
Oh,
91. And I got to work some amazing bands, which was a blast. And then I went to Virgin Records. And then for 16 years, I was at Warner Brothers Records. And then right about that time, Mutator was doing really great. And we needed a new rehearsal spot. So then we took over this abandoned paint factory downtown Los Angeles with several partners. And Big Art Labs was born. And so when I retired from the music industry, I was enjoying the art side of it. So for the last 15 years, I've been running and a co-owner of Big Art Labs. And then a couple of years ago, there's a subset of art that you just can't do at a place like Big Art, which is fine art. So if you have welding and patinas and sawdust everywhere and set designers, you can't have oil painters because there's just too much of a particulate in the air. So one of my tenants found a smaller building. So I have a second building that is no fabrication. It's the opposite. So it's painters and photographers, and it's a clean building. So that's called the Mine Art Space downtown.
hmm.
I have
Do you
150 people at Big Art and about 30 over there.
do you know my friend he was one of the earlier like LA regionals, Twan.
Oh yeah, I totally know Twine. He's
Yeah,
great.
he's actually coming out here in a couple of
Yeah,
weeks. We're gonna like hang
tell
out.
Twine I said
But
hi.
yeah, no, because we were talking about like different like documentaries and stuff. And so he turned me on to and I'd never known it like until I watched this God, what was it called? Desolation Station.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, because when you were talking about like
Those shows, yeah, where
what?
like fiction started, and yeah, all of those old music shows. You mean the desert one? Yeah, all
Yeah.
the 30s.
Yeah, because
That's where Gigsville kind of started, and a lot of those guys were also Cacophony Society.
yeah, exactly. No, because when you were talking about like down in LA, like before you even went to Burning Man, like you were friends with everyone, like that was the thing that was in my head was like, oh yeah, it's like were you involved with Desolation Station or any of those?
My scene. I attended, but I wasn't really active at that time. I was a young 20 some year old, and but it was fun. And also I was in the music industry, so that was always exciting to be like, oh, the guys from Jane's Addiction are way out here, and yeah. And it was fun. And but a lot of those guys then were in Cacophony Society, and Gigsville and Cacophony were around the same time in LA, and then
Mm-hmm.
Mutator started, and there was a band called Insecto that a lot of the people played at those parties. So one of the famous ones for that, we used to do weird Cacophony Society stuff. Like one year at the Oscars when Ilya Kazan, there was a big controversy, so all these protesters were there, and we thought it would be really funny in Burning Man style to dress up in suits and have our protest was more male full frontal nudity equality among the sexes. Like, why can women get seen but not men? And we had signs up and we did all of that. And right around that time, there are steam tunnels underneath Pasadena City College. And someone in Cacophony Society knew a janitor or something and had access to the steam tunnels underneath the college. And so they went to Mutator to do a drum off crazy tribal techno party underneath the college. And that was one of the early big Cacophony, Mutator, Gigsville, that whole world in LA. That was probably like 1991. So yeah, good
Wow.
time.
I
Yeah.
mean, what about nowadays? Well, I'm sure everyone's all like you said, like back then we were all in our 20s, and now it's like kind of looking
But
at
we're
life
all in our
like,
30s, but I mean, we're still having fun.
yeah.
That's part. Well, and I mean, Big Art is so big. A lot of the early Burning Man groups were housed here. Like we're non-residential, we're work only, but like Do Lab was here. Well, now they do Lightning in a Bottle in Coachella, and they all bought houses up in Grass Valley. Space Island was downtown, which they had the Java barge and a bunch of big art cars. And Stefano Novelli is a brilliant artist. He does stuff for Coachella and on Lightning in a Bottle and all the big builds. He's got a huge metal shop here, and he still is working on large scale sculpture. We did the Black Burner project for 2 years. Was started here at our one of our warehouses, and then
Oh, really?
like shipped out early, like maybe June to Reno. I think they went to the generator to finish, and now they're this year. I think they're doing their project to the generator. But we have enough room to do a lot of these. A bunch of art cars were all built and designed here. We had for one year we had like 6 art cars, and there was just every night it was dubstep, and there was Charlie the Unicorn and the Dirty Beatles and the Java Barge and the Space Wench, and there was like two more that were all done here, and then they all left in this bizarre caravan from LA to like
Wow.
to Burning Man. So it's really fun. Like our summers here are usually really weird, but I don't know how to say this. It's wonderful. We're almost full with year-round tenants right now, so we don't have a lot of build space. So I'm kind of worried. We'd had a couple, Vanessa and Derek, who are just brilliant artists. They did, if anyone remembers at Coachella, the Hippos, which is so brilliant. This 4 story, everybody's in a hippo mask and they're doing all of this performance art. They're going to do a big project, and I think we're going to try to house them here to build it. So I don't know the details, but I'm very they whatever they do is going to be absolutely brilliant. So I'm very excited to see what they have in store. So
Wow.
yeah, fun.
Cool. Well, I guess this brings us to our last question. So what has been the impact and influence of Burning Man on your life?
I think because I now live, I've for years I've lived it year round, but the impact of Burning Man has been I found my people, I found my friends, my lifelong friends, and I found a community that I believe in. You know, we falter, everybody fails, everybody messes up at times, but when one of us falls, there's at least a group of people who are like, all right, you messed up. Let's move forward. And now that a lot of them aren't even in LA, the impact of Burning Man to me is I now run two art complexes. And a lot of the same people that I invite to my home for dinner parties and stuff, I see here, I support their work, and then I can spread that around. And then suddenly, year round, if I'm traveling almost to any city in this country, I mean, if I'm in Chicago, obviously I have family, but like, oh, Sloan and all of the Chicago burners are there. If I go to New York, my dearest friend Tigger, who I used to work with, who passed of cancer, you know, she used to do the Iditarod with everybody. And so I'd fly back there. And so like my vacations are hanging out with people that I either work with at Burning Man or know because I want to see them and I love these people.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
one of the my little playa gifts I was like giving out the last couple of years, I made these like stickers. So let's see.
Yeah.
Well, I'll show you this first one. Oh,
Oh,
oh.
oh, there you go. Oh, I love.
I have friends everywhere. I mean, it was from Andor, that was like their kind of like the rebel thing with like there's no, it's just like, I have friends. But I was like, that totally fits Burning Man. It's like, I have friends everywhere.
It does. And then the other thing is, then you get inspired and you meet more people that are strangers who are like, I guarantee you, if you meet a stranger who's been to Burning Man, so this is my like go-to sweatshirt. It's got my Media
Oh,
Mecca,
yeah, yeah.
got my name on it, and all these ridiculous things. Work hard, be nice, which is a Michael Franti thing. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I'll be walking around with this, and someone would be like, "Oh my God, I love Burning Man. I went in 1996. I was part of blah camp." And I guarantee you, at least 50-50, we will have somebody that we know in common. And suddenly, this happens all the time. I don't know if this happens to you, where we'll take a selfie of me and this total stranger and send it to that person. And they're like, oh, you two met each other. Great. Guess what? I'm usually having dinner with them like the next week at my house, or we meet for lunch. And then half the time you get jobs out of this too.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
get tenants. Oh my God, you run an art complex. My friend just lost their studio. Blah, So the connections that all start out not as networking, not as like I need to sell you or buy something from you. Suddenly it's, oh my gosh, that person used to babysit for my kids. Or, wow, I wanted to learn how to weld and they were finishing up a beautiful sculpture out there. And it was so fun to fly up to San Francisco and for a day work on, this piece with the Flaming Lotus girls. And hey, I met Slinky and I know you guys are friends. Like suddenly the entire network is based on a sheer love of friendship, being creative, and being open-minded about people, which I think is so valuable at this, it's a currency that it's invaluable these days.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, as I always, I don't know, famously tell people, I think like the business of Burning Man, it's like it's the connection. It's like we go to this place, or I mean, like regionals, it's the same thing. Like where it's like it kind of dissolves these boundaries between us, and it's like everybody kind of goes for whatever reason, like the spectacle, or I heard it's a big party, but like the reason you come back, not because it's just like, oh, I like to get fucked up. It's just like, oh, you've been doing this for 40 years. It's so why? Because I like to get fucked up a lot.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, no, it's something else that's bringing you back, isn't it? Right. And it's usually, it's like, I don't know, family, friends.
I had a friend who I lost touch with. His name, very beautiful name, was Beish. And Beish was a wonderful, brilliant man who his whole life had been very repressed. And Beish came out to Burning Man, I think, one of those early years. I think it might have been our bubble wrap camp. And we had a dance floor bubble wrap and just let people sit and pop bubbles. Problem was, we found out is you have to bring all that back, and it's a lot of move. But Beish had never let go, never let loose. And he was totally himself the whole week. And then I think it was like Friday night, He went off, and then we didn't see him for 2 days. And he came back with his head shaved and painted, wearing a tutu. And he walked up to a burn platform, and burned one of his suits that he brought from his very strict financial background, 9 to 5. And he burned his suit and a bunch of his socks, which I thought was interesting. But so he had brought one clean, because with my recommendation, I'm like, hermetically seal one nice outfit that you can drive home in. And he never went back. He said it changed his life. And the very next year, changed jobs, met the woman that he married, got a dog, found the perfect house, had a workshop in his backyard, and only did his own art for himself. Still went to his 9 to 5, very high pressure financial job, but he did it. And that was awesome. And it inspired him. And he credits it to changing his life. And then that was like, boom. And then I've never seen him in probably 15 years.
Wow.
But those are also the effects that it can have on you. I'm the opposite. It affected me in a way that now my work is based on it. My community and my friend circle is all based on it. So,
I mean, how many people can you think of that like went to Burning Man and was just like, oh yeah, it changed me. Not for me. I'm going back to the like investment world.
yeah, it was so weird. And I also have some friends who, this is an interesting one, who hate the environmental of it. The playa cracks their skin so much that they bleed in their hands, and they don't like that aspect of it. And they love going to the regionals because they can drive to it. They can have a bathroom. They can get their little awesome, cute vintage camper where they have a bed and their sink and their own bathroom, and they're not dusty. So they still get a little bit of that creative in the community, which they love the community side of it, but they can't take the Black Rock Desert. And that's another population of people who are like, been there, couldn't breathe. I have friends who have asthma who would love to go out, and they're like, I can't breathe. I can't do it. So, yeah.
Exactly.
I'm so glad to finally meet you, by the way. We've had similar circles for all of this time, and thank you for your podcast. So many people really love it. It's great to talk about this stuff, especially when you're so spread out. So thank you for what you do.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you. I think we're about an hour and 15, so I guess we'll sign off here. But yeah, thank you so much for the interview.
Yeah, of course. All right. Well, hopefully I'll see you one of these days. And I will say, oh, go ahead.
Oh, no. So we could talk like afterwards, but we're just going to sign off and I'll stop recording. Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay.
Well, thanks.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this show, please subscribe, rate, and review it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. The more reviews the show has, the more likely it will even appear in search results. Also, please tell a friend and share this show with anyone that you think might like it. Word of mouth reaches quite far, especially in the Burning Man community. If you would like to contact us, please send an email to shadowofthemanpodcast@gmail.com. You can also follow Shadow of the Man on social media at Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, X, and YouTube. The links for all of these are available at shadowoftheman.com. Feel free to use any of these social media accounts to provide any feedback you might have. Your thoughts on the show are greatly appreciated. Thank you, and see you soon for a new episode of The Shadow of the Man.
Thank you for listening to this latest show. We have to make another one, so gotta go. Don't worry, for next month we already have one in the can. Very soon you'll be listening to a new Shadow of the Man.